Mark, what is the best story you have from Baja? What is the most epic adventure you've had down there?
Oh man, that's really a tough one because I've had so many. But I don't know, one that we've kind of been talking about a little bit ahead of time here that comes to mind is the 2014 NORRA Mexican 1000 racing the old BFGoodrich Filmore Ford. We, uh, we were having a pretty good run as far as I remember. The fourth day, we were headed from Laredo to La Paz. Um, Probably about an hour, hour and a half out of La Paz, the Kingpin broke in the left front beam of my truck, and the wheel came off. Luckily, we weren't going that fast. It came loose and got stuck underneath the cab. So we pulled over to the side of the road and analyzed the situation. Our chase team was probably about an hour behind us up on Highway 1. Um, we started taking it all apart, and one good thing about Mexico, if you have a problem, it doesn't take long for the locals to come up and show up, and they, they'll start watching a little bit, and they'll kind of analyze the situation on their own, and they'll want to know what they can do to help you. So we got the thing, the spindle and the beam all apart, and there was a Mexican rancher that came, and he was watching us for a while, and then he saw what the problem was, and we started talking, and he said he had a friend that was a welder that was not too far away, and he lived just over the rise, probably within a quarter of a mile. So he walked back to his house and he came over with his little Ranger pickup with little tiny tires on it. And we loaded the parts in his truck. My daughter Christy and I rode with him because my daughter Christy speaks better Spanish than I do. But anyway, we got in his truck and we proceeded to go down the race course. We came upon a big silt bed, and he went right through it, around it properly, probably better than 90% of the racers. Anyway, we eventually made it into town, found his friend, spent about an hour, 2 hours welding everything back up on it. Then we drove back, got to the race truck, and it was starting to get dark about then, and he was sitting there watching, and I think our chase crew found us by then. And anyway, we started putting the truck back together. He got we got some chairs out, and we said his name was Guadalupe. We said, "Here, Guadalupe, we want you to sit so you can watch and enjoy us. We really appreciate you helping us to get this welded." We got the truck all back together. It was probably almost like 11 o'clock at night. And I said, "Guadalupe," I says, "we're going to go test your friend's welding abilities." So I told him to get in the truck with me, and we're going down the course for a ways and come back. So he was happy to get in the truck. We took him for a ride for about 20 minutes down the course and came back. He had the time of his life. Um, we really appreciated him helping us, and I think he enjoyed being part of helping a Baja race team. Um, we proceeded to go to the finish. That leg had already ended that day. So unfortunately, we finished third in our class that year due to the downtime. But anyway, the next year, the course went right by his house we saw again. So, and I knew we were going to be closer somewhere. So the whole year I put together a care package for him, t-shirts, flashlights, a lot of the stuff they gave away free at Harbor Freight when you buy something, and I don't know, other little stuff, odds and ends that we thought he might need. So anyway, we had a big cardboard box full of stuff, and that leg of the race, we pulled up at the front of his house, started blowing the horn on the race truck. He came running out of the house waving at us, "Hi, hi, hi, que pasó, que pasó?" And anyway, we gave him the box of our care package we had for him and said, we got to go to La Paz. And we went to the finish. And that year was the first year that I won my class in vintage open truck. So anyway, the next year we come and do the race, and he's at the finish line in Cabo hanging out there with us. So we have beers with him. Had a good time, get to know him a little bit. And then in 2017, the 50th anniversary of the Baja 1000, I raced a wide open Baja car. And I did the leg from Laredo to La Paz where the finish was. And we started our leg at about sunset, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and we're headed down through 70 miles of whoops that year below Insurgentes. But anyway, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock at night, All of a sudden, we noticed the lights getting dim, the motors warming up in the car. Um, and we could have stopped to work on it right then, but I'm thinking, you know what? Let's go along the course until we find somebody that might be camping or watching. So we might have more lights, a little more help to change the belt. So we continue along, and I see this little church, and I say that church is right around the corner from Guadalupe's. We go around the corner and pull into the front of Guadalupe's house, start honking the horn. He comes out of the house with his Harbor Freight flashlight to see who the idiots are in his front yard honking the horn. So anyway, he recognizes me. Um, we changed the fan belt, and we got the fan belt all changed, and I had Jason Torchinsky riding with me from Jalopnik. He was doing a story on the Baja 1000, racing with the Baja 1000 winner. So anyway, it was time to head to La Paz for the finish, but we were quite a bit down by then because the car had a whole lot of other problems, previous vapor locking and low fuel pressure. So anyway, I said, Guadalupe, you have cerveza? And he goes, see. So I said, we want cerveza before we go. So Guadalupe went into his house, got us all a beer, and we had proceeded to have a beer. And then we got in the car and finished the race into La Paz.
Nice. It's really amazing how friendly everybody in Baja is. And
Yes.
every time we've been broke down, somebody comes to help. They're willing to crawl underneath. Like we did a transmission once, and we had guys underneath there in the middle of nowhere, in the dirt, helping us out. It's amazing.
And if they don't know how to fix it, they know somebody that does.
Yes.
And they will get you hooked up with them to take care of you so that you can get on your way.
Yep, absolutely. So, what are some of the other stories you have about Baja?
Oh, how many days do we have here? I remember pre-running for that Baja 1000. Um, my pre-run truck, I had an off-road Ranger that had the stock shock mounts in the front, and one of the eyelets that holds the shock to the lower A-frame broke. So we had to take the shock off so we didn't beat it up. And we got into San Ignacio and went into town, and we found a little tire repair shop right on the main street there. So we showed the guy what we needed, and he looked at it and he goes, "Uno momento." And he drives off. 15, 20 minutes later, he comes back with the shaft for the shock absorber. And we put it in the shock, put the shock back up in the truck. And then I said, "Cuantos pesos? How much do you want?" And he said, "Nada." He didn't want anything. And I said, "Nada." And I said, "Well, maybe you would like a Mark Stahl racing shirt." And he says, "Okay, t-shirt, see." And I looked, I didn't have any with him, but I had one on. So I took my shirt off and gave it to him. And he was really happy. I had to find another shirt to put on.
That's pretty amazing. Very cool. So you've been racing in Baja since the 70s.
Yes.
What was your
1975.
1975. So that was less than 10 years from 1967 when the first race happened.
Yep. That would have been about the 7th or 8th anniversary of Baja 1000. A lot of people I talk to, I tell them the year that I won, and they go, "I wasn't born yet."
We've got a whole new generation of younger people. That's what's amazing about 1,000 Miles of Stories is they get to learn all of this stuff about from 1967 and clear up to present. And that's what I love about NORRA is we've got such the gamut of vehicles down there. Your truck is one of the iconic ones. We still have people that race class 11, the OG 11 cars, which...
And those guys are amazing.
Yes, but they are hardcore.
Yes, not too bad. I had a Baja Bug pre-runner for quite a while.
Okay.
That was pretty nice. A Class 11 probably had half the wheel travel that my pre-runner had.
Yep.
And those guys, you look at them, you think they probably have to do a whole lot of getting out and digging. And back then we didn't have traction mats. You had rolls of carpeting you'd put out, or you'd tear down brush and put the brush in front of your tires and try and get out.
Try to get some traction.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And then, so what's interesting about the 2021 NORRA Mexican 1000 is we've got a new class that's racing for 2021. I don't even know if you know about this because you're originally on bikes. We have the Vespas coming.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yes. I'm excited to see the Vespas, and we're working on getting the Triumphs back too.
Huh.
Yeah, So
the Vespas should be quite interesting because I think the rake of the front forks on a Vespa compared to like a regular dirt bike, the front tire's out a little further on a dirt bike. A dirt bike, you can transfer your weight front to back a whole lot more to make the bike do what you want, where a Vespa's got the little tiny metal fairing in the front, and I think the forks are about straight into the ground. So it's the Vespas, I think, are good for like tooling around if you're in Key West.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure about Baja when you're going to hit a soft spot or a rock in the road or a G out or something. It's like,
yep, it'll be interesting. They race them a lot down in South America.
huh.
Yeah, so we're excited to see them back.
Yeah, I think I saw isn't there 2 or 3 entries in that class now?
Yep. It'll be a good class. If you had any other class that you could race, which class would it be?
When I was racing in the late 70s and early 80s, there was no trophy trucks. Back then, a Class 1 buggy was about the fastest, but the baddest vehicle that was racing was a Class 8 truck, like that I'm getting to race now, which is a ton of fun to drive because they made the most noise. They shot the most rocks when they went by, and everybody could identify with a pickup truck with a bunch of decals on it and some bigger tires and open exhaust. Now, the Class 8s over the last 40 years later, they've progressed into a trophy truck that has 3 feet of wheel travel and 1,000 horsepower, and a lot of them now are going to 4-wheel drives. And I've ridden in some, and it's just absolutely amazing what they go through. You wonder how this thing could take this punishment for 1,000 miles.
Yep.
But I'm afraid at my age and I've had a few too many concussions racing, off-road racing and racing NASCAR, that I don't think I need to be bouncing across the desert at 110 miles an hour and something. I kind of limit the truck that we race now. We might get up to 100 occasionally on a dry lake or something. I'll just say, watch, we're going to go 100 miles an hour and do it for a little bit. I think that's it for me right now. So,
what about, so in Baja, you've been all the way down the peninsula on multiple different courses. Which section is your favorite?
The part where you're along the like below San Felipe, where you're going along the coast, Portecitos, Gonzaga Bay, and then you get to Bay of LA. A lot of that is absolutely beautiful. A nice thing about the NORRA races the last few years, all the times that I raced the score races 40 years ago, we very rarely went down the Pacific coast, like where you go out at Santa Tomas, and the coast is absolutely beautiful along there too. You go all the way along the coast there to San Quintin, and then you might go inland for a bit and then come back out at out due west from San Ignacio. But that's the one thing really nice about the NORRA races the last few years. I've got to see a whole lot of the West Coast racing that I haven't seen. So it's absolutely beautiful too on the what they call the Cape Coast between La Paz and Cabo.
Yes.
There's some absolutely beautiful places there, and you're on cliffs and you can lean over and look and see the nice clear water. And I have some really good spotters that help me at times, and we're on this shelf road. It's a 300-foot cliff down to the water.
Yep.
And my spotters are good enough to know, they always tell me, stay right, stay right, stay right. And it's like, no shit.
Yeah, don't go left there.
Yeah,
it's not
don't want to go left there.
No.
It's not quite as bad as the Grand Canyon, but it'll get your attention.
Speaking of which, where are we now?
We're
back at the Grand Canyon on the North Rim.
We're on the North Rim, and we're pretty far east on the Grand Canyon, correct?
Yep. We're up in the pine forest, obviously.
We're over 8,000 feet high here.
Yep. Hey, Mike made us some tacos. Since we're not in Baja, but we're up at the Grand Canyon.
I think we probably should have a Tecate beer.
Yep.
And some tacos.
Sounds like a great idea.
And enjoy the weather.
Yep.
Oh, and it's probably 80 degrees right here now. 2 hours ago, we were in a massive hailstorm. It was 45 degrees.
Yep.
And it was one hell of a hailstorm.
Well, let's go get some tacos.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.